We've just installed JVA Perimeter Patrol and we've already done the activation for the Perimeter Patrol. The next step will be to log into JVA Perimeter Patrol. It is going to ask to authenticate with a username and password. Your default username will be admin and your password will be 4 zeros. Once your JVA Perimeter Patrol is logged in, I'm going to go to help and click on about. You would notice here that JVA Perimeter Patrol Pro that's activated for this specific user. We can see our activation code here, and we could also see that this is for a 4-zone system and it's got HLI enabled. HLI stands for High Level Interface, which is a section that we will discuss in more detail in another video. For now, I'm going to click on OK, and I'm going to go to the Setup tab and into System Configuration. Under System Configuration, there's a few different tabs. The one that we are focusing on at the moment is going to be the Zones and Configuration. You can connect via a few different options, which is either Ethernet, USB, RS232 or keypad bus, or another instance of Perimeter Patrol via HLI. For this specific demo, we're going to click on Ethernet and we're going to click on Add and Remove Zones. This is going to open our Add and Remove Zones tab where we can look at our specific interface. The current interface that is selected is Ethernet, and I'm going to press on Scan so that it can pick up my TCP/IP card and the energizers that's connected to that specific TCP/IP card. You would notice that it says detected Ethernet devices. It shows my specific Ethernet device or TCP/IP card in the left. I can also see by the detected zones that it has picked up 2 Z28s. The reason it is showing 4 lines here is because each line is representing a specific zone. So 2.1 and 2.2 would be your first Z28, zone 1 and 2, and 4.1 and 4.2 would be your second Z28, zone 1 and zone 2. It is advised as we go into the more technical details of the setup that it probably will be the best if a IT person or a technical person could be on site to help with the specific setup. Otherwise, a JVA representative or salesperson should also be able to assist with a setup like this if booked in advance. We're going to look at the basic IP configuration for Perimeter Patrol to add your energizers. The first step that I need to mention is that DHCP by default is marked on. DHCP meaning that your specific card is getting an address assigned to it from either a router or from a server. In this specific case, what we want to do is mark DHCP off, and we want to make sure that we give this specific TCP/IP card a fixed IP address. Now, you would have noticed that the specific range that we are currently on, which is the default IP address of this TCP/IP card, is 192.168.0.150, and what we need to find out is see on what IP range our physical PC is running to see if we can move this TCP/IP card into the same range of our PC. To do that, I'm going to open a command prompt by pressing the Windows button on the keyboard and then typing in CMD, pressing enter. That's going to open our command prompt window where we're now going to type in a command called ipconfig to show us the actual IP address. Let me type in ipconfig, and from here I'm going to just move this a little bit up. From here we would notice that the IP address range for the actual PC is 192.168.1.10, which is the IP address of the PC, your subnet mask, which I don't have to go into too much details at the moment, and your default gateway that normally points to your server or to your router, which is 192.168.1.1. From this, we can tell that the current IP address, the default IP address of the TCP IP card, is on the 0 range, and we would need to move it within the 1 range for the PC to be able to communicate with the card. To do this, I'm going to click on the static IP, and I'm going to change the value to 1 so that it reads 192.168.1.150. I'm also going to change the gateway to 192.168.1.1 and the DNS to 192.168.1.1. I'm going to click Commit Changes to Ethernet Device, and I'm going to click again on the detected Ethernet device to bring it back up. We can see that it has accepted those changes, so we're going to say next step would be to then select the Ethernet ID. I'm going to select 1 as a Ethernet ID for this specific setup, and I'm going to say assign unique Ethernet IDs to checked devices. We've got that TCP IP card checked, and commit to Ethernet device. The new changes has been carried over to the Ethernet card. In the middle column here, you can see detected zones, which is our 2Z28, as I explained previously. I'm going to click on these devices, and I'm going to say add check device to bring them into my active zones tab. From the active zones tab, one would have the opportunity to click on the specific device, and we could now give it a name. So let's call this first one Zone 1. I'm just going to change that to a capital. Zone 1, and I'm going to click on Save. And I'm going to make my second zone on the first Z28 Zone 2, and I'm going to click on Save. My first zone on my second Z28 is actually, in this case, going to be my Zone 3 for the specific setup that we're looking at. Zone 3, and Save. And my last zone on my second Z28 we're going to call Zone 4. What we are going to do, our active zones, we're going to change the contact using from network name to IP address. Because we've set a fixed IP address, it's always advised that you do change this to IP address, as it's a better way of communicating. Then the network name. I see I'm missing an E there in Zone 4. I've corrected that, and I've changed the network name to IP address. I'm going to click Save, and at this point we've done the physical programming of adding our zones into JVA Perimeter Patrol. Next step would be to look at the map, and then also physically drawing our lines in on the picture.